Everything we desire is already within us. You have the power and the energy to create the life you desire in you.
You were the first man that I ever loved. God sent me to you, a gift from above. See, there's nothing like a father's love. I'm so thankful to the stars above. God gave me to you and you to me. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have this family. You raised me up and taught me the ways that I should go. And even though you're gone, you promised to never let go. Said you'll always be the best man that I know. No matter how far that I go, no matter how old that I grow, you know you'll always be my hero, the best man that I know. No matter how far that I go, no matter how old that I grow, you know you'll always be my hero. You've always been my hero. You've always been my hero. You've always been you'll always be my number one. You'll always be. You always knew that I would do great things. You always gave your last, you cared and you covered me. Though the days and years may roll, never let you go. I'll miss you and wish you could be holding me. Said you'll always be the best man that I know. No matter how far that I go, no matter how old that I grow, you know you'll always be my hero, the best man that I know. No matter how far that I go, no matter how old that I grow, you know you'll always be my hero. You've always been 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 my number one.
Express your greatness, your amazing self and soul. You're amazing.
I love you, Daddy.
Enjoy the high reaches and become the eagle you were birthed to be. I believe you can fly.
I have some things to share with you that I've never shared before publicly with anybody.
Carlton, you die for what you believe.
Jesus is the Savior of the world, the whole world, all men.
He's affecting the world. The world. He's a pastor that thinks world, and that's what God wants.
He did not come into the world to condemn the world, but that through him the world might be saved. If he didn't condemn, why do we? That's all I'm saying.
Brother, you ain't just here to have a little meeting. God's called this thing. God said, all right, to walk in those footprints that are already there. He creates some new ones.
D.E. Paulk is one of my spiritual sons. He's my first expansion consciousness son.
When Bishop Pearson transitioned, a lot is on my shoulders now. And I don't perceive myself as the successor of Carlton Pearson. I perceive it as a succession. But there have to be some voices who can speak and know what he taught and give it and be able to answer the questions. I know that he prepared me for this moment.
Well, good evening, family. How's everybody doing tonight? Come on in the room. As CDP would say, get somewhere and sit down. Do something or another with your life. Good to see you tonight. We've been missing you. Haven't done a show in several weeks, but certainly miss our connection with the CDP tribe. Welcome to Bishop Carlton D. Pearson's The Gospel of Inclusion. I'm your host, D.E. Paulk. We have an amazing show for you tonight. Wow. Wait until you see the video for Bishop Pearson's birthday. Just star-studded, from speakers to actors to gospel artists, just unbelievable personalities wanting to honor this amazing man in spirit. We're glad you're here tonight. Also, after the video, I'm going to be on for probably an hour or so with David Youngren. He is the author of Life Ascending. And I won't say a whole lot because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. He's spoken to over 1 million people at live events. Had a chance to talk with him today. Brilliant thinker, courageously authentic. And I'm in my doctoral program right now, so I'm reading so much that I'm almost losing my vision reading. I've gotten a new prescription from reading so much, but I could not. So I'm not reading a lot of extra books right now. I could not put this down. I've read at least more than half of it. It's just a fantastic combination of ontology, of new thought, of personal application, of experiential wisdom. It is unbelievable. Very, very powerful. So we'll have David Youngren on in just a few minutes. Well, welcome to CDP's show. Whether you're here out of curiosity, whether you are inquisitive, maybe you're a Nicodemus at night who knows there is something more than what has been on the surface. Maybe you're in some sort of deconstruction in your spiritual journey. I like to say reconstruction. Yeah, we swing from kind of a pre-critical thought to critical. Then in that post-criticism, we kind of achieve graduation from our sophomoric resistance. And we go, okay, maybe there is a perennial philosophy. Maybe all of these things are flowing together somehow. So whatever your case is, maybe you're a critic. Maybe you're cautious tonight or concerned about us that you perceive as heretics. Whatever that case is, you're welcome at this table. Inclusion means that we are also a bridge to those who are beginning to think on a different plane. And so we know that our vibe attracts our tribe. We're all vibrational creatures in a vibrational universe. That's the way we kind of say, we don't think it's accidental that you're here tonight. Even if you resent or resist some of what you hear tonight, there will be a seed of consciousness planted into deep into your soul that may not come up for 10 years, but it will come up when it senses water. So we're glad that you're in the house tonight. Do we want to do any shouts out, Brandon, up front? Let's do some shouts out to some of our peoples. Miss Emma, go see her. Good to have you in the house tonight. Yeah. What's up, Cat Bell? Thanks for the love. I think, the picture you sent, Cat, from our conference, inclusion conference, it's so good. I haven't been able to hang it yet, but I'm going to find a place where everyone who walks in spirit and truth can see it. Thank you for doing that. Beautiful. Yep. Hope you. Yeah, we do love the picture. What's up, Gingerbread? Good to have you in the house. I think is that Ginger from Florida? I don't know if that is or not. Sure. Miss Imogene. Hey, Mother White, good to have you in the house. Tulsa in the house. Miss Taiyi, is it Taiyi Hayes? I think that I'm saying that right. Heavenly birthday, my friend. Absolutely. Let's see, Capricorn 88. I'm a Sagittarius in the house. So good to be it. Tina Thornton, amen. Amen, somebody. Yeah, let the church say amen. CJ, hey, CJ Henry. Happy birthday, Bishop Pearson. Yeah. Angie Ford, New Albany, Indiana. Woo. Ooh, you still getting snow up there? It was 70 here today. Move to Atlanta. Come to Spirit and Truth. CJ Henry from Texas. Glad you're in the house this evening. Ginger's from South Carolina. Okay, my dad was born in Greenville. You know that you're from South Carolina when you don't say Greenville, you say Greenville. Greenville. Yeah. So are you from Greenville or from Greenville? Anyway, welcome, Ginger. We're glad you're here. Melissa Kadinger from New Mexico. Yeah, where my wife's peoples are from. Farmington, New Mexico, from that area. Good to have you, Melissa. I used your cooking things, by the way, today to cook a pizza. Elise, good evening from Texas.
Elise is who came and visited a couple weeks ago, I believe.
Is that?
I'm pretty sure.
It may be.
Elise, let us know if you visited a couple weeks
Yeah, if you were in the ATL at Spirit and Truth. Thanks, Elise, for being here tonight. Let's see. Carlene Lamaye, Detroit, Michigan. Wow, you're up in Word Network country. That's where the Lexi Allen Show. That's where Lexi's from. Welcome. Laverne Parker, Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, take me to Graceland. Let's have a look-see. How about Bishop Gilbert Earl Patterson, the Church of God in Christ headquarters. Welcome, Memphis, Tennessee. Miko Evans, what's up, my friend? Yeah, the mover, the shaker, the change agent, the social activists, introducing me to the metaverse. Welcome, Miko. Good to have you tonight. Mary Strong from Toledo. Wow, Toledo in the house. Yeah, been to Toledo several times. Ruben Goff, Tinley Park, Illinois in the house. Welcome, Ruben. Good to see you. I love that. I love your hat in that picture. Charisse, thank you for being here. We love you. Thanks for sending me all the comedy. It keeps me laughing. From LA. Yeah, from LA. Our guest tonight is from San Diego, or living in San Diego, originally from Sweden, but living in San Diego. What's up, Apostle Newbed? My goodness, we need to talk, my friend. I saw your picture the other day and my heart was missing you. Abuja, Nigeria, Lagos, Benin City, also from, I think, Lakeland or Orlando area. But Apostle Newbed doing amazing architecture and inclusive work globally. Thank you for your love. Glad you're here, Apostle. Let's see, Michelle Madison from Edmond, Oklahoma. Yeah, welcome. Glad you're here. Jalen Shaw, yeah, the young, brilliant mind. We talk theology sometimes from Arkansas, Little Rock. I don't know exactly where you're from, but thanks for the theological talks. I enjoy them, Jalen. Let's see. Good evening, Bishop Paulk, First Lady from Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah, I bought your book, Bishop. I can't wait to crack it open. Yeah, tell us which book did you buy? Thanks for supporting us. We certainly appreciate it. All right, that's some of our shouts out. Thanks for being here, family. We have an exciting show for you tonight. Welcome if you just tuned in. We are celebrating Bishop Carlton Demetrius Pearson's 72nd birthday. Our guest tonight, after the birthday video, David Youngren has a very pronounced understanding of Carlton Pearson's history. And I was actually a little emotional listening to him talk before the show about his honoring of Carlton's courage and authenticity and the price that you pay to speak truth, not just to political powers and systems of injustice, but guess what? Sometimes we have to speak truth to the church powers as reformationists. We have to speak truth into systemic injustice that is manipulating the minds of men, really by a misunderstanding of the holy text. And so it's going to be an amazing talk tonight. Is that it, Brandon?
I think so.
Okay, I think we're going to jump into the video. It's about 20 minutes or so.
Yep.
And so enjoy this video. It's unbelievable. You're going to cry. You're going to laugh. Don't let anybody tell you how to grieve or how to rejoice. Feel all of it. You're going to hear his voice. You're going to see some preaching clips, but you're going to see a lot of people of renown sharing their love for Bishop Carlton Demetrius Pearson. Enjoy the video.
Surprise! It's your favorite child. Just kidding. Not kidding. We all know I mean. That's fine. Happy birthday, Dad. We got you. We got you good. You think we're going to do anything? Of course, we have to honor your legacy. And I'm so grateful to be a part of that tremendous, amazing, impactful, influential legacy of yours, sir. We love you. Happy 70th birthday. You're in for a treat.
Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Make a joyful
Peace and dynamic blessings to you, my brother, Bishop Carlton Pearson, on this 70th revolution around the sun. Happy birthday to your mom. Happy appearance day to you. You've been such an inspiration for what you have done in the past, being a public figure of transformation and evolution and unfoldment and expanded consciousness, higher dimensions, awareness, and the propulsion that's under you right now for what's happening in the future is magnificent. So it's my joy to be able to actually call you my friend, a mentor, a compadre on the path. And so on this day, as during this particular season in which you're celebrating 70 years around the sun, your 70th solar return, I say many more, many more, many more. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for continuing to touch countless beings with the anointed spirit of the living God, that they may come to know themselves in a way that they have never dared to even imagine. Have a bright and beautiful day. Continue to celebrate this month. Continue to celebrate this year, because you deserve to be celebrated. Happy birthday, my brother.
You're such a great person, and if you were not born, I would not have a mirror to look into. Because you are, I am clear about who I am and what my work is. Thank you for being a mentor, a guide from the side, that voice and whisper in my ear, because y'all know I can get out of hand. But even then, you make me feel like my out of handness is right in line. You know, so you teach me a lot just by being. I don't know anyone as brilliant with this one person. Y'all about the same kind of brilliance. As brilliant, but it's your birthday. I don't know nobody, we just keep it like this, as brilliant as you. And I don't know how you are able to stand full-chested, full-throated, and still speak truths that many people struggle with hearing, but you do it well. We're so glad that you are here, and we can continue to celebrate you.
Several years ago, my mother suggested that Bishop Pearson and I should connect and work together. She met him at a church event, and not very long after she spoke to him, she saw a certain sameness in us. I wasn't surprised, by the way, as she considered me to be a bit of a rebel. And to some degree, she also considered him to be a theological rebel as well. It wasn't long before I understood why this prophetic man would impact both my life and my ministry in incredibly powerful ways. He is covered with the prophet's mantle, the requisite prophet's mantle for such a time as this. A courageous man who will follow God and God's will and God's intention at whatever the cost may be. Because a prophet must truly have courage, clarity, faith, and purpose, and an ear that is fixed to the heart of the divine. But what is most important that stands out for me as it relates to you, my friend, and my beloved brother, is the courage to go where most will not go and believe somehow that the divine will handle the details, that God will give you the strength, and God will give you the wisdom to cut away through the wilderness of bad religion. That's the season we are in now. And so I want to say to you, big brother, because you're older than me, by the way, happy birthday. Be encouraged. Keep kicking devil butt at every opportunity that you get. Continue to be the bright light that shines. Keep paying the price. I happen to know that God rewards those that are willing to pay the price. And so I, along with the City of Refuge and the entire TFAM family and the family of the gatekeepers, wish you a happy and prosperous 70 years old. I love you, honey. And I love you with the love of Jesus Christ. God bless. God bless. God bless you.
Months ago, we were in Atlanta, Georgia at the Woman Thou Art Loose conference, Bishop Jake's final Woman Thou Art Loose conference. And after the service was over, we tried to catch an Uber from the arena to the parking garage where our car was, which was about 2 blocks away. And it was mass pandemonium and chaos. So we just ended up deciding to walk to the parking garage. And in between the parking garage where our car was and the arena was a fenced-in parking lot. So in order to get to the parking garage, we had to walk around. We would have had to walk around the parking lot. And I said, come on, Bishop, we're going to have to walk around this. Bishop said, I ain't walking around that. So he takes off with this little trot, grabs the fence, and jumps over it. And then turns around and looks at me and says, come on, boy, as if I can't jump. I said, man, you don't know me. So I jumped over the fence as well. So there were people that just so happened to be leaving out of that parking lot that we had jumped the fence over. And people started rolling their window down. I know I just didn't see Bishop Carlton Pearson jumping over the fence. And Bishop said, I sure did. I went from Bishop to ghetto real fast. Bishop Pearson, 70 years old. I don't believe it. That man still got hops. I love you, Pops. You're great. Man, you've been a tremendous inspiration to me. I love you dearly. Man, keep on keeping on, man. We got some more jumping fences to do.
Hey, Bishop Carlton, it's Yolanda Adams, one of your favoriteest people in the whole wide world. I am so excited about you being celebrated today. I know it's like amazing, right? You have been such a wonderful, wonderful, stalwart person in my life. You have given me so much hope and so much, gosh, how can I put into words the person who encourages and keeps you lifted and at the same time springboards you into your next amazing moment. That's what you do for everybody. And I just wanted to say quickly how much I love you, adore you, and have the best birthday ever, okay? Love you, bye.
Sir, I believe your 70th birthday will mark the biggest transition and confirmation and synchronicity in your life beginning now. Happy birthday, sir.
I want to honor you for 3 things tonight, just briefly, for your love, for your laughter, and for your leadership. For your love, I've watched you, and many have watched you, and the way that you love people. You've been sensitive to people who have perhaps even been mistreated, or those who have been left out. You've been always caring for the least of these, and I want to honor you for your love. For your laughter. It seems as if your parents have passed down, your mom and dad have passed down this wonderful sense of humor to you and your siblings. And people who know you all over the world know how much you make people laugh. And you laugh with us as you are, you could have been a comedian actually, but you laugh with us as we are, as you're teaching or as you're preaching a message or as you're talking and communicating with people. Thank you for helping us to laugh and laughing with us. And finally, for your leadership. It seems that since you were very young, you wanted to share what God had sparked on the inside of you. Opportunities to do that and to influence others came at a very young age, and you grew in that. You took those opportunities, and now officially you've been in ordained ministry for over 50 years, maybe 53 years now. You are a proven leader. You're a leader with triumphs and victories, but you're also a leader who has scars, who has faults. and has made mistakes. But that's a tested leader. You have been tested. And you have been tried in the fire, and I believe you're coming out as pure gold. I believe you've entered now into another dimension of God's favor, grace, and strength, and even another dimension of insight, clarity, and wisdom. And as you look forward to the future, may the anointing and the flow of the divine in your life shift you to what these next several years are going to be for you as you fulfill the call and purpose and mission of your life, all the while enjoying the journey. I love you. Happy birthday.
Wow, happy 70th birthday. You know, I was so moved when Pastor David said that you were a leader with faults, with scars, and that had made mistakes. And I have a small list of those mistakes that I'd like to go over with you just for a few minutes while I have you here. Like right here, it says in 1959, what? You know I'm doing a taping here. No list? Oh, just happy birthday? Okay. Happy birthday, Bishop. Wow, 70 years. You know, the Bible says it gives us 70 years for good behavior. So all the people who thought that God was going to punish you and send you to hell for leading people to hell that doesn't exist, I guess they were wrong. I just want to say that, you know, 70 years, I really hope that I look as good as you when I turn 70. Except I just realized I don't look as good as you now. What's the point?
It's your boy, your firstborn. Probably not your favorite, but definitely your first. So Mads can keep the favoritism, whatever. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. You've made it 70 years. Your existence has made a huge impact on the world, my life. You're a man of graciousness, of passion, of resilience, and I hope to follow in those footsteps one day when I grow up and make it to 70 myself. But you are my best friend, my superhero. I don't know where I'd be without you. Obviously, I wouldn't even be on this planet without you and Mom. But you make me smile every time. You make me laugh every time I talk to you. I'm glad that the universe has picked you to be my father and my guiding light in this life. I love you dearly. There's nothing in this planet I would not do for you. So here's to another 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. I'll be here with you through it all the way through. I love you, Dad. Best friend, superhero. Salute. Happy birthday.
Hey, brother, I wanted to jump on here and give you a birthday shout out. But before I do that, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your yes. Thank you for touching many lives, and know that I am one of the many that you have touched. Thank you for always being who you are. Continue to be who you are. Now, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your year. Enjoy life. Do what you want to do. Just enjoy it, which I know you will. But again, I want to say happy birthday. thank you. Know that you are loved by many and you mean a lot to so many of us. Have an awesome, wonderful, blessed birthday. Have an outstanding year. Love you much, brother. Happy birthday.
Carlton Pearson, happy 70th birthday. Here I am out in the desert. Can't help but think of you since you and I have been, for all intents and purposes, leading our people through the desert, trying to get to the promised land of freedom and justice for all. And it's been a pleasure to walk side by side with you. I want to tell you my favorite experience, I think, in my entire ministry was that day in my office before you left for Chicago when you sat me down and you said, Marlon, you're a Unitarian Universalist minister, and there's certain things you don't know. And it's possible while I'm gone, someone's going to come to you and they're going to need you to cast out a demon. I thought, whoa, okay. And he said, I'm going to show you how to do it. And there we were. And you showed me what to do and how to do it. And I was sort of shaking, wondering, am I really going to have to use this someday? And to be honest, I've been waiting for the opportunity, but after 15 years, it still hasn't happened. But when it does, I will have you to thank, my friend. It has been a journey like I could never have imagined being in ministry with you. And I have to say, the best is yet to come. Happy birthday. I love you.
Happy, happy birthday to one of my special friends, Bishop Carlton Pearson. These words that I have to say are coming from my heart, but I'm going to read because I don't want to leave off anything that's important that I would like to say. You know, we never forget the bridge that brought us over, and you have been that bridge ever since the Azusa days for thousands and thousands of people. And now you are a bridge for even more, those people who are marginalized and left behind. I am indeed enamored with your tenacity, faithfulness, and perseverance, adhering to your convictions from the Lord. You are humble, loving, and passionate for all God's children.
Bishop Carlton Pearson, Erica Campbell here. Happy, happy birthday. I hope you feel loved. I hope you feel celebrated. I hope you know that you have changed my life. Truly, truly. I thank you for your friendship, for your encouraging text messages. They mean more than you know. I'm so very grateful for it. I just wanted to come and say happy birthday. I wish I could be there to celebrate with you, but that's for you. Happy birthday.
Get married, my wife is going to know that I am basically a self-centered person, not by nature, but that for the last several years, my world has revolved around me. When I get married, it's going to have to revolve around we. And I ain't used to revolving around we. But because I have that understanding, it'll be easier now for me to enter the relationship and let it revolve around us. Of course, it'll revolve a little bit more around me than it does she, but at least you'll be in the general vicinity of the revolving. You see what I'm saying?
March 19th, 1953, over 70 years ago, the world changed with your entrance. And over 30 years ago, mine did with your invitation to be here in Tulsa. Thank you. I have a few names for you, and surprisingly, I can say them publicly. One, my baby daddy. Thank you for making me your baby mama. I'm grateful for our two beautiful children. What a blessing they are to both of our lives. And then there you were to Mama Georgia and Lyda Housden, Godmother, Joyce Palmer, sweet Carlton. For me, you'll always be my greatest teacher. And this day, I'm wishing you the fulfillment of your greatest joy, peace, and love. May it be yours for your lifetime. Happy birthday, young man.
Did you enjoy that? What an amazing journey through history. Wow, think about all the people that were wishing CDP love and joy. I heard words like his mind, the brilliance, the laughter, the courage, a theological rebel. Of course, both of his children, Dr. Michael Beckwith, Larry Reed, so many, Yolanda Adams, Mary. I don't know if you noticed that was Reverend Ike, Reverend Ike's widow. Just what a beautiful host of people wishing love to our CDP. I have one more video for you, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some special things around CDP's birthday. This is from Majesty. I think she did this today. She wanted to send us a video in today, and it's hard to hear her sing and her be without recognizing the spirit of Carlton Pearson in, through, around, and as her. So enjoy this video from his daughter, Majesty Pearson.
Happy birthday. Happy heavenly birthday. Oh my gosh, man. You know, we talk, and you know how much I'm thankful for you, and I'm still thankful for you, and ever the more thankful for you. God has given me so many opportunities to admire you even from the heavens and feel you from that realm. And like you knew, you were so ahead of so many of us. And a lot of what you have shared and been bold enough to share is coming to fruition. And I'm so grateful to be your offspring, like to be your daughter. You know, a daughter of a king, right? And we miss you, and we recognize even more. You recognize more sometimes when people are gone. And we know, we see you still, and your legacy, you know, I'm so thankful to be a part of it. And that Lily Ruth and Adam Pearson, you know, chose to bring you into this world, and God allowed, and the universe granted that. And who knew I would be sitting right here wishing you happy birthday from an Apple Mac as you're in heaven and I'm here with you. But to those watching, you know, you've instilled so much in me, and you still do. You are. I realize how much of you I am, and just how courageous I can be and continue to be in sharing my truth and, you know, leading, being a leader. You're a beautiful leader. You're such a bold leader. You are such a bold leader, and so many of us look up to you and are so grateful that you know, as hard as it was to push on, to raise kids, to get married, to pursue this calling, to be chosen. You were chosen, right? You're a chosen one. And to be a daughter of a chosen one, and to consider myself chosen. And I'm just so thankful, you know, that you said yes when you said yes, you said no when you said no. You smiled when you didn't have to. You loved when you didn't have to. You teach me how to choose love in spite of. And this is an iconic, well, your birthday's tomorrow, but we were missing you here at home. You know, every time around the 15th, you know, I start to feel what I feel, and it just means that I love you and I miss you. And I'm so grateful that you've instilled so much strength in me, and that you've assigned beautiful angels to help guide me, mentors, people watching, people who have called me to check in on me, Israel, Yolanda, Michael Beckwith. You've left so many people that I can look up to and call, and that are checking in on me and covering me, because you think ahead and you love them, and now they love me. And I'm just so grateful that you're everywhere. You're right here. I have pictures of you everywhere, all over my room, which was your room, which is my room now. And so I love you, and happy birthday. Mwah! Talk to you soon.
Nothing like a daughter's love. And if Majesty's watching this, love the hair. You look great. Majesty sent Brandy and me tickets, amazing tickets, like 6th-row tickets to see Stevie Wonder in concert. She's touring. She has toured several times with Stevie Wonder, but we're so proud of her talent, her heart, her love, and just nothing quite like a daughter's love. Yeah, could you see the joy and the pain behind those eyes? Yeah, she's missing her dad today. That's normal. It's part of it. One of the things that we learn that we have to, I think, to deconstruct from our Word of Faith camps is when someone passes, it's okay to mourn. You know, I've been to so many funerals when people get up and say, we should be worshiping, we should be praising, they're in a better place. I don't discount that, but there is some spiritual bypassing going on when we don't allow people the normal and natural process of grief. To deny that, to denounce it, to push it away, just means it's going to show back up. And grief doesn't usually make an appointment, especially when it's been pushed down. And so it's okay to grieve. It's okay to laugh and to cry. We certainly miss our brother, our spiritual father, Bishop Carlton D. Pearson. Have you ever had a conversation with Carlton Pearson? You ever talked to him in person? Have you ever received an email, personal email from him? Ever been after he's preached a long sermon or a long service and he's just stood with a sweaty shirt on and talked to you, or taken time to make you feel like you were the only person in the room? I've heard that testimony hundreds of times about him. What an endearing soul that Carlton Pearson was and is to all of us. I wanted to encourage you tonight, if that is your experience, and I want you to hear my heart when I say this. The time that he took to talk to you, to talk to me, to talk to hundreds of thousands of people, to make them feel like they were the only person in the room, was time that was taken away from his daughter, Majesty, with him. Time that he wasn't able to give to his son, to his wife, Gina. And so I know the pressures of ministry. I know the demands, especially on mega church leaders. And I feel tonight that it would be very appropriate, as whether we realize this or not, Gina, Julian, and Majesty gave us their father. They gave a piece of him to us. I always told him, I said, CDP, I don't think you were called to pastor a church. I think you were called to pastor the world. And so it is in my heart to do something for the Carlton Pearson Legacy Foundation tonight. I hope you'll join me in this. Have certainly tried to remain true to his legacy, to his teachings, to his evolution, his unfoldment, which I think is probably still happening. He's still curious in that next iteration. But I do want you to give something tonight. Brandy and I are going to give the first $72 tonight. Again, hopefully I don't have to tell you guys this. I don't receive a penny, not one penny from this. Everything you see, all these lights, all this setup, this is just our personal investment in this, because we believe as inclusive architects that we are to carry this message and this mandate as a model into the mainstream. We are to be bridge workers and builders, helping people to cross into their higher selves. And so this tonight, I want to go to the Carlton Pearson Legacy Foundation to be a blessing to those who are grieving him most. I grieve him. He was a spiritual father to me. He lived in our house quite a bit of the time. He was not a guest here. He was family when he was in Atlanta. But I could not compare my grief with his daughter's grief, with his son's grief. His son now has given birth to, conceived of Carlton's first grandchild. Yeah. And so can you imagine what Julian feels without being able to take his beautiful little daughter and place them in her grandfather's arms? That's difficult. That's a grief. And so there's a way that we help with grief. It's not always just a shout out on social media. Those are great. It's not always just a prayer, but sometimes it is helping people. It is showing honor. It is saying, thank you for sharing your father with us. That's time that he didn't spend with you. And so let's do that tonight. Let's be faithful to give something towards somebody and a family that gave up so much to give to us. I believe Carlton Pearson was one of the greatest reformers of modernity. He left the apex of success and walked into truth and led us as Moses led us out of the bondage of religion into open spaces that were oxygenated with curiosity and questions and freedom and conversations that we thought were off limits or heretical. He led us into that space. I also heard Bishop Yvette Flunder ask about the cost. What is the cost to be authentic? And how many of us go to churches every week that some of your pastors think a lot like Carlton Pearson, but they can't say it because they don't want to give up. They don't want to give up the money. They don't want to give up the membership. And he did that. And so I believe not only did he give up wealth, did he give up his reputation, but he gave up his life. Carlton Pearson felt things very deeply. He was very connected to people. He loved, even people that had left his church, loved them tremendously. I was with him in chemotherapy treatments when he would see former members who left his church, and he would ask about their children and their cousins and the big mama, and just so loving to the moment he took his last breath. But that emotional difficulty of being ostracized, being exiled, living in the inclusive diaspora, if you will, it did kill him. And he gave his life as a martyr for this message and for this movement. And so how do you repay that? $72 would never repay that. But it's just a small gesture toward his family and those that he leaves behind to say, we love you. Thank you for sharing your father with us. And so I encourage you to do that tonight. As you're doing that, I want to segue into an amazing conversation tonight. I do want to show you this book before I bring on David Youngren. This is called Life Ascending. And I said it wrongly a couple of days ago, Life Transcending, but it is Life Ascending. And I've read through about half of it. He asked me to endorse the book. And so I don't know if you can see, I think I'm the second endorsement right there. Bishop D.E. Paulk, Master of Theological Studies, doctoral candidate. This is a work this is an academic work. It's a philosophical work. It's, of course, spiritual. It is a scientific work. There's so many different entry points into this book. And so I'm going to read just a quick thing of David Youngren. What an amazing spirit. You're going to be blessed tonight to have this conversation. He was born in Sweden. He lives now in San Diego. Philosopher, storyteller, philanthropist, has spoken to over 1 million people in person at live events. As the founder of Limitless Research International, kind of specializes in things like existence, ontology, epistemology. How do we know what we know? Consciousness, expanding consciousness, bringing science of mind into the ideas of spirituality. And so without a whole lot of further ado, I want to welcome to Bishop Carlton D. Pearson's Gospel of Inclusion, David Youngren. Welcome, David.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for that introduction. And what a wonderful video and just so wonderful to hear about Carlton Pearson, who blessed so many of us. And I'm delighted to be with you today.
Thanks for being here. We talked a little bit about Carlton before the show, but you had a kind of a vast knowledge of his journey and his unfoldment. When did you first hear about what he was teaching?
It's interesting. And in the 1990s, I started the church. I was a pastor in Canada, and we brought in this Russian worship leader. And of course, he played all of Carlton Pearson's songs. And I remember one day a church member brought a cassette with his worship from Azusa Street, and I was blown away. I would sing in the car with him, and of course I can't sing, but what an incredible worship leader. This train is a holy train, songs that I was not raised with, and it was just amazing. But then later I learned what a tremendous communicator he was, and such great insight. I didn't even know that in the beginning, tremendous insight. But I think really what stood out for me has been his integrity, that he stood up for what he knew was true at the cost. We all know, and we all know who have gone through a transition, a shift, a change. We know the tremendous cost involved for us personally, financially, and the number of people that we have, coming to our meetings and all of those things. There is a change. And so I admire that. Many times I've thought about it when I began to transition and change and go through this reconstruction, I thought of him, that he can do it, I can do it. So he's left a big legacy in my life. I never had the privilege of meeting him, but just knowing about his way of life and his spirit and his integrity and the things that I heard today truly has blessed me.
Well, thanks for honoring Bishop Pearson with your words, but more with your life, with your intellectual property, with your courage. So take a moment, if you will, David, and just kind of situate yourself in this conversation. Give us a little bit about your background, about your context, what your specialties are, and kind of where you see the spiritual journey taking us.
Well, I'll try to do that, but I guess for me, it started in the first decade of this century. I was a successful pastor by whatever success means, but I was a Bible college president. I traveled around the world. I had big crusades. I had big pastor seminars and so on. But inside, I was feeling disillusioned and going through a lot of different things and experiences. And one day, I sat on my bed. This one after I had moved to California. I sat on my bed, and I was dealing with a plethora of negative thoughts and feeling that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't worthy enough, that I felt this guilt. I felt anger toward people who had done me wrong, so to speak. And I remember sitting on the bed, and a verse that Jesus, or something that Jesus said, struck me. Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Implied in that is, if you're not free, you don't know the truth. Wow. And I thought about, you and I have both been part of the Christian world, and as a Bishop Carlton Pearson, we know a lot of people, and I met very few people who I consider free, even in, well-known preachers. They deal with a plethora of negative things, and there's what the public persona, but then the inner person, or the person that you see behind closed doors, is a completely different person. And I thought, if this gospel is not working for the best preachers and for all the well-known preachers, who does it work for? So either
Wow.
Jesus lied, or we have missed something about the truth. And I was reminded about an incident a few years prior to that. I'd gone to the golf course because quote unquote, I was seeking God for some direction in my life. And I gone to the golf course. I thought, I'm going to play golf a round of 18 holes by myself so that I can really just hear from God. And I went at a time when no one was there, and I told him I want to play by myself. But I saw a gentleman who was putting at the green about 500 yards ahead. And I noticed that he was way ahead of me. So I thought, I'm just going to take it easy. I'm going to move very slowly, because, sometimes people ask that you would play with them. And I didn't want to do that. So I played very slowly the first hole. I got to the second hole, and he was sitting at the bench, and he asked me, do you want to play together? And of course I couldn't say no, that would be rude. So I said, sure. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to walk with this guy, and this was in 2004, if I'm going to play golf with this guy, I'm going to preach to him. I'm going to get him converted to my religious faith, my idea of God, my evangelical background, my charismatic background. I'm going to get him saved and born again, And I started telling him about everything I knew, grace and all of that. And I noticed this man, it wasn't that he was against what I said, but it was like he was in a different level. He exuded this incredible peace, this incredible sense of selfless love and compassion and empathy. But he didn't believe what I believed. And he didn't see the world like I did. It wasn't like he wasn't against my story. He wasn't against my dogma, but he wasn't for it either. It was like that didn't really matter. But there was something deeper within him that exemplified what we call God. God is love. There was a deeper essence there. When you talked about perennial philosophy, there was something that transcended all religious beliefs. And I didn't get it. So by the end of the 18th hole, I thought to myself, well, I came here to hear from God. I didn't hear nothing. But later, as I began to think about this, I realized that there was a tremendous truth communicated to me.
Yeah.
And about a year and a half later, I'm sorry, I'm trying to wrap up the story to
I love it.
how I came to this. About a year and a half later, I had now moved to United States. This was in 2005. And I was so mad because of things that happened in Canada before I left. And as I said, I was dealing with this guilt, and I was just dealing with so much garbage in my life that I started having these cluster headaches. And I don't know if you ever heard of cluster headaches, but it's according to Google, it's the worst pain a human can suffer.
Wow.
Now, I share this story sometimes when I speak in different churches and different places, and they say, well, women always look at me like, you have never given birth to children. What do you know about pain? And I admit that's very true. But I tell them I read this on Google, and Dr. Google obviously know what he's talking about. So I remember having this pain, excruciating pain, and it would last like, it would be like every second day, and then every day, and then multiple times a day. And then it lasts anywhere from 45 minutes to 3 hours at the time. And I would lay in bed and scream and said, I'd rather die than live like this. And out of nowhere, my background was like Bishop Carlton Pearson, and I'm sure like yours, we were like charismatics.
Mm-hmm.
And meditation was a foreign concept to us. Like that was like Eastern religion. You stay away from that. And out of the blue, I had this inner prompting to meditate. And I didn't know anything about it. But when you're really in a desperate state, you're willing to do anything. Mm-hmm. So I walked down the stairs into my car, and I slumped into the seat of my car. And I thought, I don't know what meditation is. I don't even know how to do it. So I just kind of sat there and closed my eyes. And suddenly flashed a scene from the movie The Passion of the Christ before me, where Jesus looked at me. I felt like Jesus was looking at me, and I was overcome with this incredible sense of love and unconditional love. It's like, in my visualization, I thought Jesus can see right through me, and he knew everything about me, and he still loved me. And immediately the pain disappeared. And out of that, years later, as I began to look for this truth, what is this truth that Jesus talked about, the truth that sets you free? I began to meditate on a continuous basis, and I noticed a shift that was taking place, where many of the old ways of seeing things, the old traditional ways of talking about God and all of that, kind of just vanished. And to me, the story of this gentleman on the golf course, I thought, now that is the truth. That is the truth. To exude love and peace. The stories and the narratives and the dogmas and all those things are all secondary. They are mental concepts, but the real life flows from within. So yeah, that's a little bit of my background. Sorry for taking so long.
So the next question is, when are you and I playing golf? Let's go meditate together on the golf course.
Either you have to come to the other side of the country, or I have to go to you. I guess that's the.
Brady and I actually will be in LA in a couple of weeks, but
really?
What an amazing story. That it so resonates with me. I'm sure some that are on with us tonight, of thinking that we have some sort of religious hierarchy or monopoly on peace, God. When we don't feel peace, we say we're in spiritual warfare, or God's testing us. Then we meet somebody who is not saved like we were or are, and they have a peace that surpasses understanding, and it challenges what we have thought is the truth. Bishop Pearson used to say, he talked about truth. He said, I knew the truth, but the truth wasn't setting me free. Bishop Pearson says, well, the truth that makes you free sometimes pisses you off first. And that was, and that was what he did for us. He was an adjutant. One of the things that I love about your journey, David, is the authenticity. Jesus said, what will a man give in exchange for his soul? The word there, soul in the Greek, is the word psyche, which is where we get the word psyche, psychology, psychiatry, which is not talking about our eternal state contextually. It's actually speaking to the state of our mind. What will you give in exchange for your thoughts? And so many preachers get in the pulpit every week and preach a sermon that people want to hear, but it's not their authentic self. And so thank you for being your authentic self. I'm going to show everybody. I have a whole list of questions because your book just messed me up. It's so good, and I'm only halfway through it. These are the questions I have so far, but I don't want to monopolize all of it. I'm going to ask a question, David, and then I want you just to take your liberty, say what you want, and then we'll work through it together. But the book begins in the preface of Life is Standing. You begin talking about filters and lenses and perception and how we see the world, how we see ourselves, how that informs the way that we see God. Bishop Pearson would say this, that perception is not the ultimate truth, but it is the ultimate reality, because our perceptions create our realities. How would you tell somebody tonight, first of all, to be aware of their lenses, maybe even to getting rid of the lens? How do we find the right lens with which to invite peace into our lives?
First of all, you asked such wonderful questions. I don't know whether I can answer them, but let us try here for a second. For me, of course, is a beautiful statement by Bishop Carlton Pearson. Your perception creates your reality. So whatever intention you place on something, and whatever attention you place on the intention, so to speak, creates the reality that you live in. Of course, most of us have been programmed since childhood. In fact, all of us have been programmed since childhood by the way we were raised, in the homes we were raised, by our parents, and then by school, by our country that we were lived in, by our race. There's so many different things that we have that has been scrambled together to form our sense of self and how we perceive the world. So, for example, I often tell my friends who try to really preach Christ or whatever, can you imagine if you were born in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
And you never heard about Jesus, and you say, well, Jesus is, but I mean, who says that my religion is better than your religion?
Right.
Just because we were born here, because we are privileged to be born here, somehow or another, we then think that they are excluded. So we have an unfair advantage over everybody else because we were born in the Christian world. So that doesn't make sense if you actually think about this more logically, and you think it more from the perspective of God. And so to me, we have all been programmed. There is this plethora of things. So often this is unconscious bias that we have that actually control how we live and create the reality we live in.
Wow.
But for me, the revelation was, I started studying the Aramaic of Jesus, and the word truth, when I started studying that, knowing the truth, of course, knowing is being aware of. There's a difference between knowledge and knowing in the Greek. And knowing is, of course, being aware of something in the present moment, in the now. Knowledge is something we have accumulated. It's in the brain. It's in the past. But somehow or another, we magnify that. But knowing the truth, the word truth, which to me was an eye-opener, the word truth in the Aramaic is shrara, which means an inner light, an inner light that arises in the now, arises in the present moment.
Wow.
And I thought about, what is God? And I'll get to, you asked such a good question. I'm trying to kind of build toward that. But God is light, the Bible says. God is light.
Yeah.
And what is light? Light is that which illuminates reality, right? Light is that which illuminates reality. So then it also says that Jesus is the light of the world. And it says that we are the light of the world.
Wow.
Jesus said, you are the light of the world. So what is light? Light is that which illuminates. It's consciousness. It's the very core essence of who you are. And, light can have many different, we can have big, strong, powerful lights that illuminates a lot of things, or they can be very kind of dark, darkened lights. And so many people live within the brain, under the conditioning of the brain, and where the light is not shining through, where we're not aware of our deepest essence, where we're not aware of that place of oneness where between God and us. And, it's interesting. I kind of joke with my friends. I'm sorry I'm going on here, but I kind of joke with some of my friends saying, we're talking so much about God living up there somewhere. God is there. He's somewhere else in heaven. But the Bible says, in God we live. Inside of God we live and move and have our being.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? We have our being in God. So God is not out there. He's right here, right now, in me. And God the Father is above all, through all, and in all. So the problem of the world is that we're not aware of it. So the lenses that you're talking about are lenses that our conditioned mind, or that we've been conditioned to see the world through, that has caused us to be unaware of the true light inside of us. And the true light inside of us is oneness. When you see the oneness of the universe, you see the oneness and our connection with one another, with different religions and different backgrounds. We're all one together. Right? Every race, we're all one together. And so to remove those lenses it begins in the brain. It begins to come into a place of inner stillness through meditation, or we go into the nature, just come to a place of inner stillness when you're simply aware. Just simply aware of a deeper essence.
I read, when I listen to you talk, I'm literally, look at the notes I'm writing just when you're talking. I'm like, this is just inspiring so much thought in me right now. But so reading through Life Ascending, I saw quotes. I saw some Eckhart Tolle. I saw some Meister Eckhart. I saw references to The Alchemist. I mean, these are all books that just transformed, and authors and mystics who transformed my journey. But you were talking about looking for the light everywhere else. You referred to The Alchemist in this book, and his journey of finding really ended with where it began, and that's within. One of the things that you said there that just really is something that it comes up in my sermons probably at least once a month. I call it geographical capitalism. And that is with a westernized version of capitalism, that some people start with a privilege and others don't. That those who are exposed to westernized Jesus, speaking in tongues, charismatic, gospel music, we have a bit of a privilege over those culturally who are not exposed to the westernized English version of Jesus, and whether they're in Middle East or in Africa or in South America. We cannot export our culture in the forms of evangelism. Jiddu, if you're familiar with Jiddu Krishnamurti, is the founder of the Theosophical Society, but he said in one of his writings, he said, when you call yourself a Christian or a Muslim or Hindu or Black or white or male or female, you're actually being violent, because by labeling yourself with that identity marker, you are subconsciously separating yourself from the rest of humanity. And in that separation, we set up hierarchical thinking and systems of othering and difference that eventually will justify violence in some ways. I'm getting everywhere, because when you talk, we got to spend more time together. This is amazing. All right, I have a second question, and you can go anywhere you want to with it. One of the things that we study in seminary is theodicy. Theodicy is the human attempt to reconcile this idea of a good God with suffering, with a world of suffering. How do we reconcile the sovereignty of God, the power of God, the goodness of God with human suffering? And so, of course, most who are on tonight will be aware of the individual and collective consciousness. But there's a character in Life Ascending, and I keep promoting this because I want everybody listening tonight to get a copy of this. Listen to me. I'm having to read 2 or 3 books a week right now, and I couldn't put it down. I made time. It's an amazing work. But you introduce a character named Stephen, and I found myself in Stephen. Life happened to me in my late 20s and early 30s. I was having to navigate things I didn't create, very difficult circumstances. However, it didn't spiral me into taking on that heavy pain body of victimization. I began to try to find joy. I began to meditate. I began to laugh, to not take life so seriously. And so in Stephen's character here in Life Ascending, we see a choice. to either become a victim of circumstance and then eventually to awaken from it, or to realize that life is not always happening to us, but maybe through us, around us, as us, and maybe even for us. Would you speak at all to kind of Stephen's journey and how we would kind of avoid the victim mentality?
I remember many years ago when Stephen called me, and his name was different, but we changed the name for the sake of privacy. But he called me, and I knew his story. I knew what had happened, and so I didn't want to necessarily broach the subject right away. And I waited a little bit, and I said, "What happened?" Because he was a pastor. He had been raised in a Christian home. His father was a very well-known minister and well-known around the world, kind of a celebrity preacher. And so he had success, and he had been a pastor, and then something happened in the church where he was a pastor, and basically his world fell apart, his marriage fell apart, and he started doing drugs, completely away from any kind of religious community. And I thought about it. His story, I brought up the story, was essentially to be able to help people understand that there's so many people who have gone to church and it's not working for them. It wasn't working for me. I had to admit to myself, and that's a very hard thing to admit to, that some things, when you have invested so much of your life, so much ministry and teachings and everything else, that it wasn't working for me. And I wanted to know the freedom. So within him, I felt that. And I noticed that there was a sense of, as you said, of, he was a victim of his circumstances, of people had done him wrong and mistreatment at the church and all those different things. And it's very easy. We all have these stories these voices in our head. And they come in many different shapes or forms. Sometimes we think of ourselves as the hero, and other times we think of ourselves as the victim, and other times we think of ourselves as somewhere in between. And we have all these like voices in our heads, and they are automatic. It's not like we actually consciously decide I'm going to think about these things, because if we actually listen to ourselves, we would just think, who is this crazy person inside of my head? But we have all these stories. And of course, you alluded to it already. It arises from the ego, the egoic mind that perceives reality as separate. So if you think about the true self, this oneness, this light, it perceives the oneness of God, the underlying reality, or the underlying presence. God underlies all things, is a unified whole. Love is that which we feel when we become aware of the unified whole, the oneness of all things.
Yes.
And so the ego, on the other hand, are in our minds. This is the thing that we like to worship. And have a little model of a brain here. But the mind always seeks separation. The ego seeks to stand out, to be different, to be unique. And sometimes it identifies with negative thoughts, that I'm not as, I'm not good, I was mistreated, and I did wrong. And we go through all these insecurities that we have. But that is just as much ego as well.
Yeah.
And it always separates me from somebody else. It makes it is a form of judgment. I judge myself as being less than. I judge myself as being greater than. So it's a form of judgment, and that gets I show this here. This gets programmed into the cerebellum, this part of the brain, the subconscious, which actually becomes an automatic process. How you're not even aware of it. It's like driving a car. You just drive the car, and so you have all these thoughts and feelings that just emerge out of nowhere, these stories, but they're all rooted in ego, in my sense of I need to be separate then, I need to be greater than. And it kind of hides the unity of oneness that is the true reality of God.
So that's chapter 6, David, is you talk about the barrier of the ego, and you can see I'm highlighting all over your book here. So I've desecrated your holy book. I've written all over it. But you were kind of all over that idea of separation, which is, it just makes, as John the Baptist, or as Elizabeth would say, it makes my baby leap in my womb. But one of the definitions that I began to understand, by the way, I don't know if everybody, if you caught that, but ego can also be false humility. It can be hierarchy, supremacy, but it can also be thinking less of yourself. And so much of that in church dogma is walking with humility means not looking somebody in the eye when you talk to them, not knowing who you are as a divine being. And so the ego is very tricky. It can show up as pride and it can show up as false humility. But one of the separations that I became aware of listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer years ago, he defined the ego 6 different ways. He said the ego says, I am what I have. I am what I do. So my doingness, not my beingness. I am what others think of me, others' opinions. And then he comes into he takes a little shift and says, ego tells me that I am separate from that which is creating my life. And so when we blame the devil, when everything is always exterior, we never really tap into that inner divine creative being that is made in the image and likeness of Source, that is creating the world around us. And so what advice or what wisdom would you share with us, David, with someone who is not seeing themselves? You talk about knowing thyself, which is really, that's ontology, to the knowing of the ground of being, ontological existence. And then you kind of marry that with our divine creativity. How would we begin to kind of push away this idea of blaming the devil, blaming others, blaming God, and to really begin to hone in on our divine creative capacity?
I think you bring up some excellent points there. And, we, in the Christian world, we blame the devil for so many things. Mm-hmm. And it made God very small, first of all. When you magnify this devil, right, it makes God very small. And I always had problems with that. But it was like we needed the devil to kind of justify our own lives and failures or give a reason for this or that and everything else. And to me, it's just a byproduct of this religious tribalism that we live within, that it's almost like, I don't know if you read Ken Wilber's books. He talks about, the egocentric, ethnocentric, and the world-centric, irrational, or, the pluralistic worldview and so on. And then ultimately what I refer to in my book even is Christ consciousness, which is being able to see beyond that. But most of the church is still in the ethnocentric culture. And so we see the world and we process everything through our little tribe. And so the devil is very pleasing to us because it helps us explain some of our own failures and so on. And I think that is missing a deeper reality. There's this missing something that is much more worthwhile. I like what Paul said, actually, to answer your question. I like what Paul said. Paul said, it's no longer I, and the word for I here is ego. It is no longer I that live, but Christ that lives in me. And the word here for Christ, of course, is Christ, but the word lives in me, or the word lives, is thou, which is another I. It's a deeper essence, the I.
By the way, David, that's pages 134 and 135 in your book. I was reading the thou today. Sorry, keep going.
So what happens is, so you think about, so what does death mean? Well, death we always think of as you cease to exist, annihilation. But death, according to the Bible, is separation. Now, separation is, what our minds have done to us, separate us from being aware of this presence that undergirds all reality, God, the light. We are not aware of this being that undergirds all reality. But that the separation, or the ego, Paul said, I have died to that. I have been separated from that. And that to me is a powerful picture. And Christ now lives in me, because I believe that in order to really experience transformation, you have to come to a place of inner stillness where you can put distance between your thoughts and the egoic thoughts, and recognize them not as you. You begin to see them from a distance. You're just aware of them. So they rise up in your mind and you say, I'm aware of these thoughts, but I'm not those thoughts. I'm
Wow.
aware of these feelings, but I'm not those feelings. I have these beliefs, but I'm not those beliefs. I have this physical body, but I'm not that physical body. And we become aware of a deeper truth. So if you can put separation, there is a death that takes place. And the more you can sit in that kind of an environment, that kind of a loving presence where you're simply aware, you're aware of this deep sense of love and peace. When you're just simply aware of that, eventually the thoughts and the ego begin to vanish, disappear. It is not as strong anymore. There's a distance between it. And you begin to realize, there is a joy. There is a deeper level of peace. And all the titles and all the recognition and all the crowds and all those different things that seem to be so important in the past suddenly is not that important anymore. What's important is to have this awareness of this inner peace, this awareness of love, and becoming completely still. Just
Stillness speaks. That was a revelation to me. That's
absolutely. That Eckhart Tolle wrote about that. Yeah.
I read that Stillness Speaks book. I read it in my bathroom because I didn't want my friends and family to know I had it. I was still a bit evangelical, and the book was just so you tapped into something that I think that really resonates with our spiritual community in Atlanta. We are not our thoughts. We are not the thinker of our thoughts, but we are the observer. We are the awareness of that. And so we also say it this way: I am not my beliefs. I am a spirit capable of having beliefs, changing beliefs, and hopefully at some point emptying myself of beliefs, which, especially us for us Pentecostal charismatics, which provides a full agency of Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit, Spirit of truth, whatever we call that, to have complete permission to guide us into all truth. And so, wow, the identity roles that we play, thinking that we are our beliefs. I want to ask one more question, and then I want you to just kind of give us what you would like for the takeaway from Life Ascending to be. For most of my life, and by the way, if you're watching tonight, do you feel the bridge that David is building for us right now? Do you feel the architecture of this? He was a charismatic. He probably could come into our church and clap his hands on the right beat and lift it and do the whole thing because that's who he is, who he was. That's just a portion of it. But the bridge he's building is saying there is something beyond the specificity and particularities of religion. There is another field. I think Rumi, you quoted Rumi in one of the chapters here. Rumi said, "There's a field beyond right and wrong. I'll meet you there." And even saying that just puts chill bumps all over my body. But one of the things we were raised with, David, was that Jesus come to save us from God, to save us from ourselves. There's all this lower consciousness of wretchedness, fallenness, Adam's sinful, race kind of thing, separation anxiety, consciousness, all that. But as I have really deconstructed and then reconstructed a different spiritual practice, I see Jesus now as a reconnection, not as much as a savior. And I know that may be a little offensive to those who may be watching tonight, maybe not. I don't see Jesus saving us from something, but reconnecting us to God in consciousness. And so you were kind of all over that a moment ago. What was it like for you to see Jesus not maybe as an intermediary or as a buffer or even as saving us from God, but the Christ consciousness? What was that deconstruction like for you?
Couple of things there. First of all, I think it was that part of my spiritual journey was valuable at the time, because I think many of us are raised with this guilt, this sin consciousness. And in sin consciousness, you need to have someone to save you from that. But it's interesting, the more you begin to delve into Jesus and everything that he taught and spoke of, and you see the depth of it, you realize that there was never a place, like if you go to church, by the way, I was raised charismatic, but I can't clap in tune with anything. So that is completely wrong. But anyhow, that's besides the point.
Tell
But
the truth.
but when we're never called to worship Jesus. We're called to follow Jesus.
Right.
And follow is to be like he is.
Yes.
But to worship Jesus, we put him up there somewhere that is unattainable for us because we feel so wretched. We feel so horrible. How can I ever, like me, I'm just a sinful little me here. And so it's a very sin conscious kind of mentality that we live under in church. But if you become a follower of Jesus, and if you think about the words there, that if you abide in my word, and the word here is logos, and logos, we know that from John's Gospel, chapter 1.
In the beginning.
In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God, and the word became flesh. So what was it? Jesus became something, if we attribute this to Jesus. But even all of us, we became flesh. We took on this flesh. But there is a deeper reality. And what that is, it's consciousness, logos, the organizing principle that was existing was there at the beginning of the universe. And we know that from Albert Einstein said that, he said that, time only exists where there's matter and space, this three-dimensional world, that the real essence is beyond time. And so when we connect with that reality, and when we become aware of that reality, we follow in the footsteps of Jesus. And it begins to transform how we see things. One of the things that sometimes I use this to show here, that when it comes to church, so much of what we've been raised with in church, I don't know if you can see this here, but so much that we've been raised with in the church is to believe a story, to believe a dogma. Sign on the dotted line and you will get saved. You will get to heaven. If you believe this, just confess this with your mouth and you will be saved and you will go to heaven. But you think about the simplicity of that. Now, that might be great for some, but really to think that, okay, I'm going to get to heaven if I pray, just like an insurance policy. If I buy this insurance policy, I'll get to heaven. But all that it does, it feeds into here. We have knowledge about God, which feeds this brain. We have an emotional experience, which is part of this limbic system. And then we have the cerebellum, which shapes our understanding of the world. But I tell people, when you die, what do you think happens with this thing? What happens to it? In 100 years, there is no more brain. In fact, it is basically gone immediately. So what happens to all these thoughts and all these ideas? But a deeper reality is consciousness, life at its very core. And when we awaken to that reality, then we truly become followers of Jesus. I don't think I answered your question, but I forgot what it was by now.
No, you did. It was basically kind of contrasting the Jesus of history with the Christ of mystery. You're all over it. It's a beautiful, one of the things that really amazes me is the deeper that I dive into philosophy, theology, soteriology, the more I appreciate Jesus. Sometimes people think because I quote from the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita or from a mystic or a New Thought teacher, oh my goodness, I've never loved Jesus more. Jesus is the ultimate mystical teacher, if we really can tap into that. All right, so I've been waiting to do this.
I so agree with you there. I think that is such a powerful truth. Jesus reveals love, unconditional, selfless love like no other in history, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and the oneness that you speak about with the egoic mind, that understanding of I and the Father are one. And we want you to be one in this concept. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Apostle Paul finally got to the place where he said, beholding in the mirror the glory of God, let this mind be in you, which was in Christ, that perceived oneness, equality with God. And so all those are ego killers. Yeah.
And when you bring up such a good point here, but Jesus said also that I'm in you, I'm in the naked, I'm in the prisoner, I'm in the alien, the immigrants, I'm in all those different people. I don't want to get into politics here now, but I'm in all.
You're in the right place to do that if you want to do it.
Can you imagine when we begin to really catch this vision of what Jesus had caught, that I'm in you, you are in me, we are one at the very core. How does this change how we interact racially? How does this change how we interact gender? And how does it change how we interact as nations and different religions when we begin to see Christ is all and in all? How does that change? And I think the church that we have today doesn't demonstrate that at all.
Yeah.
But Jesus, he showed us the way to that, and that to me is truly Christ consciousness at a deeper level.
One of the if you're ever in Atlanta, you'll have to come. You have to come speak for me at Spirit of Truth Sanctuary. We'd love to have you come speak at some point. But we've set up a museum of honoring Carlton Pearson, and it starts with the beginnings of evangelical roots, holiness, separation consciousness, sin consciousness, devil blaming and casting out. And the museum kind of purposely goes through his journey of evolving and unfolding, and it's kind of asking the person that's walking through, where do you begin, and does that determine where you end? And hopefully there's not an end to it, but a portion, I would say, I think of Carlton Pearson's quantum awakening was really credited to curiosity, just being inquisitive. Jesus said, if you want to be in the kingdom, become like a child. Question, be curious, ask. Don't think that you've got it figured out. There's something about the sin of certainty. All that is both philosophical and academic in those ways. But I appreciate your curiosity. We love your inquisitive mind. We love what you've brought to us tonight. You can tell I really have. I'm not just saying I've gone through this book. But I'm on page 262 and 263, and you give us a really beautiful practice here, and I think you call it the loving kindness meditation. And I'll read just a quick portion of it, but it's a process of breathing and closing the outer eyes. But there's different tiers of awareness here. It is the meditation is, may you be happy, may you be peaceful, may you be free from suffering. That's Buddhism. Actually, there is the cessation of the end of suffering or end of attachment. Then it's personalized. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. Tell us what the inspiration was for that meditation and how we can use that in our lives.
Somewhere I heard it somewhere to begin with, and then I started thinking about, well, how does this apply to my Christian life and to my upbringing? And, I shared earlier the story of how I had such a revelation of love when I meditated. So I thought, what kind of prayer could we have that can bridge the gaps between us as people? And we're living in a very polarized world, and we deal with a plethora of negative emotions that we have toward other people. What is the process of bringing healing? And so for me, then it became to, how do I apply this for people like myself who came from the Christian background? And I began to meditate simply you quiet myself down. I began to meditate, and I picture Jesus. I visualize Jesus. I have my eyes closed and I visualize Jesus. And he's on the cross, and I speak to him on the cross. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. And I do it not loud or out loud, but I just do it as a silent prayer where I visualize Jesus. So because I begin to identify with his pain. When you identify with someone's pain, you experience a deeper level of love. When someone shares and they're vulnerable with you, you actually feel a greater love for them because you begin to identify with them. So I do that for a period of time, and then I kind of start with Jesus looking at me and saying, may you be happy. Wow. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. And then I begin to internalize it in my own life. And then I take it to the next level, and I speak to my family. I visualize my family, the ones closest to me. And I say, may you be happy. Wow. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. And then I come to now a little wider circle of friends, and I do the same thing. And then I go to all the people that I've had problems with in the past, all the, and there's a fair number of them that I've had problems with in the past, and I
Sure.
don't anymore, but very rarely at least. And then I extend it to them. I speak that blessing over them. May you be happy. May you be free. And it begins to change you from the inside out. And then I go over politicians that I don't like, people that I don't like,
Yeah.
people from everybody in the world. I basically go through this over everybody in the world. I speak that kind of blessing over everybody in the world.
Yeah.
And it begins, it's not about changing the world, it's about transforming your attitude and your heart toward people who are different than you, who see the world different than you. And yeah, it's beautiful. Sometimes I do it for like 20 minutes or something like that. So you take your time to go through each process, but it's a beautiful meditation. And as I said, most of meditation is to come to a place of inner stillness. But so I don't spend a lot of time. I don't think about it, but I speak those words, and I begin to feel them. I experience them, the depth of the words. So it's more than just saying a bunch of words. It's actually being aware of it, being aware of that. May you be free from suffering.
Wow.
May you be at peace. May you be happy. And that's sometimes hard to say over certain people.
Yeah.
But it changes you on the inside.
So if you're watching tonight, if you have your receptors up, in that last 15 seconds or so, you could feel the Holy Spirit just kind of come in with us for a moment. I felt some peace come into my space. Why don't you just take a big deep breath? We've heard so much wisdom tonight, so much freedom. Take a big deep breath and picture what David Youngren is enjoining us to picture. Picture the world around you. Picture those who have spoken against you. See yourself. Freedom, happiness, peace, free from the mind of suffering, of judgment, of comparisons. All that is promised to us from this inner kingdom that we get the chance to govern. I want to encourage you tonight to get a copy of this book. It is amazing. I can tell a lot because I'm always in the academy. I can tell a lot by bibliography. And Joe Dispenza, Brian McLaren, Father Richard Rohr, the mystical Catholic, unbelievable. Eckhart Tolle, Ken Wilber, a Theory of Everything, coming from Aldous Huxley progeny. This is a fantastic book from one of our own, former Pentecostal charismatic, who is still connected to Jesus, but also connected to a bigger and better vision and version of God that's in no specific religion. And so I encourage everybody to patronize the book, get a copy of Life Ascending. Look on the back and you'll see my endorsement there. I tried to sound really smart, but I don't know if I did. Who knows? It's an amazing book. Thank you to Jamie who set all this up for us. So I don't know if you showed it, Brandy. Tell us how to get the book, and then tell us how to connect with David on social media.
I did show it several times. I also threw a bunch of links in the chat as well.
Okay.
Of course, David, if you have any other guidance for folks.
They find it on Amazon. If they just Google it, I'm sure they find it on Amazon, or they can go to my website, davidyoungren.com. But yes, it's all good. You've done a great job there to make it easy for people to find. Thank you so much for sharing those words, by the way. It means a lot to me. And thank you for your endorsement of the book. Those were beautiful words. I loved it. So thank you.
Thank you. Go out and get a copy of the book. Follow David on social media. He is our tribe. And we didn't have enough time tonight, David. An hour just went by like that. I didn't even get to the rest of the questions. So to be continued. That's the journey. Truth is a journey, not a destination. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, David. And we have usually some sort of yearly gathering with a network of inclusive ministries. We'd love to see you as part of us. You are a part of us. We're a part of you. And thank you for your work. Thank you for your mind and your courage. And people, this is what, if you're familiar with kingdom business, I was raised on kingdom theology, not necessarily dominionism, but a shared power. we support each other. We circulate support for each other. When someone in our tribe writes a book, we support it. We patronize it. And so go out and get a copy of Life Ascending. I promise you, it will not let you down. I could not put it. I slept about 4 hours last night, so I was almost trying to take a nap today, and I just could not. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't put this book down. So get a copy. Thank you, David, for being on with us tonight. Any last words you want to leave with us?
Well, I want to thank you, and thank you for the opportunity of being with you today. And I look forward to connecting and meeting you in person. And it sounds wonderful. The Ministerial Fellowship, I actually spoke to a friend of mine in Miami who mentioned that he's part of your group as well. So
wow.
I've really enjoyed being with you, and hopefully you can come and visit me here in California, maybe, and
love that.
maybe I'm at the Atlanta sometime, and I love to be with you. And yeah,
just a shot in the dark. Was that Danny Prada in Miami that you were talking to?
Yes.
Yeah, we are all in. So there's an Atlanta group too that I'd like to introduce you to. Some really esoteric, mystical teachers here who love Jesus, but see God as bigger than any specific religion or savior character, but have great worship services. If you get to Atlanta, I'll set you up about 4 or 5. I'll set you up an Atlanta book tour.
Oh, I love that. You know, I'm gonna be with Danny in June. So
Okay.
so yeah, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. So we'll have to make that happen.
Let's make it happen. Thanks for being here tonight, David. What an amazing connection. I feel like I've known you in a former lifetime. Who knows? Maybe we did.
Exactly. You never know.
Yeah.
Huh? Well, thank you. You just been such a gracious host, and I love what you're doing. So thank you, just for exuding that love and warmth, like the guy on the golf course.
I have learned that I pay way too much money to play golf to not have a good time. So I'm going to have a good time on a golf course.
Yes.
Thanks again, David. Hopefully we'll have you back on the show before too long. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Bishop Carlton Pearson's The Gospel of Inclusion. Happy 72nd birthday to our late mentor, church reformer, change agent, I believe, modern day martyr. He died with joy, with peace. He did not die angry. He did not die in regret or bitterness or any sense of unforgiveness. I've been around death my entire life, physical death, my entire life as a preacher's kid. Been in full-time ministry for 33 years. I've never in my life seen someone die more peacefully than Carlton Pearson, more at peace. And so we thank you, Bishop CDP, for your life, for your living, for your legacy. If you haven't had a chance to give toward the Carlton Pearson Legacy Foundation, do that tonight. Let's honor the time that he gave to us, making all of us feel like family. We want to honor not only Carlton tonight, but his family, his children, his grandchild, and be a blessing to them as well. Thanks for joining us tonight on Bishop Carlton's The Gospel of Inclusion. We'll see you guys tomorrow night on Inclusion 101. That's 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk about that old devil. What's the devil up to these days, and how do we stomp him out of our lives? Happy birthday, CDP. Happy birthday, CDP tribe and family. We love you guys. We'll see you again soon.
I am connected to a love that never runs out. I am connected to a source that never runs out. I am connected to a love that never runs out. I am connected to a source that never runs out. I am